There are a lot of mechanics on the internet shouting their opinions where they're not really wanted. Anyway, hi, welcome to the 100% Jake Hypocrite Hour. One of the opinions that I hear most often is, oh, such and such brand is horrible to work on, or such and such brand is great to work on, and discounting or endorsing brands, just full stop, the whole brand. And I don't like these sorts of generalizations. I mean, if you narrow it down a lot, there is stuff like, DOD era Chevy Silverados. You're going to end up doing a lot of cam swaps and stuff on those, things of that nature. One particular example that always is championed is the Buick 3800, one of which I have right here. I don't fully get why people endorse these so much, because, they are great engines. They're good power, they're unique, they were very long lasting, but they are just as prone to issues as anything else. They have plastic cooling system components, they have maintenance items that will require the entire intake to come off, the entire upper and lower intake manifold. There's a lot of problems that need solved with these engines, and you're going to end up doing some maintenance. And what's funny is a lot of the things I just mentioned are also things that people criticize this about. Funny how that works. So to make a short story long, one of my family members has a Buick Park Avenue, not Ultra, as their only transportation. It recently started leaking coolant. So we're going to drive down to Tulsa and try to fix it. And we're taking that because it's the least broken thing that I have right now. Somehow. Okay, so we're taking a quick look around the shop here. I'm going to be taking my Harbor Freight, portable kit. It's got most things that I would want in it in a nice, convenient package. Always nice to have something like this that you can just grab and take, except I keep robbing stuff out of it, so I had to go search around the garage, which, super organized right now, and find some of the pieces I was missing. But then we also have, a breaker bar, a mirror on a stick, some more, some wrenches. This should be a three-tool job. We've also got a breaker bar and the I'm tired of asking, so those hopefully won't be necessary. We'll have them if needed. The only thing that I can't find is my gasket scraper, so we'll have to grab one of those. But otherwise, we can load this stuff into the BMW and we're good to go. We made it to Tulsa, just dove right in. I didn't even think about filming, but this has actually turned into one of the classic failures of these engines. The infamous plastic coolant elbow down there is weeping, and you can see the residue from it all over the top of the water pump and whatnot. So I am jamming right now to get the alternator off, get that out of the way, because that elbow goes into the entire alternator bracket. For some reason, GM ran coolant from the lower intake manifold through those two Achilles heels elbows and through the alternator bracket itself, which also houses the tensioner. Luckily, this tensioner is in good shape, so we won't need to replace that. Alternator's good, all the accessories are good, belt's even good, which is especially fortuitous on these pre-facelift models because of the goofy motor mount here. But once we get this alternator out of the way, hopefully we can get a better look at these elbows and see what we're dealing with. Unlike my Buick, this one hasn't had decades of idiot mechanics who don't know what they're doing, taking it apart and putting it back together wrong. So we're actually dealing with a fairly unmolested example of a 3800 for once. A very hot one though. Here's where the heater hoses come in. These are all a mess of O-rings and stuff, so we don't want to touch that if at all possible. And then they go through this big old pot piece of aluminum and into the block. And the other implication here is that if your tensioner ever goes bad, you have to drain your coolant because you're taking this off. It looks like there's only one elbow on these older pre-facelift cars because that goes straight into the water pump. So I should just have, I see one big bolt down there, looks like a 14, and I think that might be the only other thing holding this into the block because the alternator bolt was holding it there. This might actually end up being easier than the Ooh. That is finger tight, not even. Someone's been in here. It's always fun to learn new things. Apparently on these pre-facelift cars, there is actually only one elbow. Once I got these 1, 2, 3 bolts out, and I could pry this away, the lower is actually molded in and it's just got an O-ring on it. And then of course the upper here is trashed and it's completely broken off inside there. But what's really annoying is this has obviously been an issue for some time, and someone just splooged RTV all over it and called it good. Typical. So we're gonna need some picks to dig the rest of this elbow out of there, but let's see if I can get, oh wow. So it's just coming apart in my hand. That thing is, yeah. Yeah, well that's fun. So we'll have to get this out of here somehow. Okay, situation report. It is dark. Also, we went to like 4 part stores here in Tulsa, and the employees at all of them were just, there must be something in the water. But we did end up getting the coolant elbow out and all these little shredded parts. The coolant elbow itself is just absolutely trashed. We bought the Dorman 47065 HP replacements. My concern is that absolutely nowhere had the good O-rings for these, so we're going with the O-rings that they came with, and we're going to reuse, well, we're going to use that O-ring for the built-in lower elbow on the bracket. We bought some picks. This pick set is great, and I lost all mine, so cool. And we were able to get all that out. Really, the trick there is just to stick a flathead screwdriver in and hammer until you break it apart, and then pick all the pieces out with aforementioned picks, and then just try and get out any debris that you can. So at this stage, yeah, that was the elbow. Wrist in pieces. At this stage, we're putting the new O-ring on the lower elbow, and then we're gonna fit the new elbow in. We're gonna lube that up. Yeah, there it is. We're gonna lube all this up with some dish soap so that it slides in easily. You can use whatever lubricant you have on hand. Dish soap is just fairly ubiquitous. And then we just have to wiggle this back into place, and that seats into the water pump. I don't know if that's an inlet or not, but it seats into there. And of course, this elbow goes in the lower intake manifold. It should be just that simple. Dawn dish soap is great for this because it won't contaminate the coolant, and it's pretty readily available. So, oh yeah, nice tight fit. And now it is lots of moving parts here. So this lower one has to go in the water pump, and the flashlight is there. Okay, so now that we're not trying to signal for help, I'm gonna get the lower one lined up, and that went in. Oh look, hey, they just, okay, that was actually no effort at all. They just kind of lined up, and now they're good to go. So I'm probably going to do the very bottom bolt first, followed by the middle one, because I really want to make sure that that lower fitting goes in square, and that is this bolt. Boy, that sure goes in somewhere. This is the most underrated tool imaginable. Makes everything make so much more sense. Oh, there it is. Flex head ratchet makes this way easier. Okay, the torque spec is yes. Those don't have to be stupid tight because the O-ring's doing most of the sealing. That just really locates it relative to everything else. And the alternator, which we still have to put in, also helps locate the entire bracket. So now it's time to throw this guy back in place. None of this enjoys lining up. Man, this is great. I don't even have to do anything anymore. James can just take care of it all for me. I can pretty much just retire now. I'm gonna head off to my Caribbean island. So James is just wrapping up the weird little brace that attaches here underneath the coils, and then we just have to put the pulley back on the water pump and throw a belt on this, and then it is fill and bleed time. And this is going to have some nice AutoZone store brand universal green coolant, because Dexcool be gone. That aluminum elbow should last the life of the vehicle, so that's pretty good, because this vehicle should have a pretty long life. Also for light, we have this Craftsman LED up here running to an extension cord to an inverter in the passenger seat of the BMW. It's doing a great job being the world's actually not that expensive gen set. This costs less than the nice generator from Harbor Freight. That whole car.
So you remember how this was loose when that came off?
Oh yeah. Is that not possible now? We have a hammer. GMY.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Oh. Okay, because I've seen in the video I watched of someone else doing this, clearly more talented than us, who probably should get my subscribers, he was able to get that off and on like before doing anything else, so I knew it was most likely possible. Hey, some light might help with this.
I just feel.
I also do things by feel. My wife loves it.
That's good. That's real good.
That's what she said. Where's the flashlight? There it is. Okay, first start time. Go for it whenever you're ready. No leaks to speak of. Looks quite good. This always ends up making a mess. Here, see if that'll melt my ice. Perfect. Nothing dripping on anything. So for 190... What is up with this town? For 190,000 miles, this Park Avenue drives absolutely perfectly though. Temperatures, normal, 194 rock solid. I think we have a big fat W here. I just gotta go back to what I said earlier. All the problems that this engine has are basically no different than what my BMW has, and yet, if you talk to your average celebrity mechanic, they'll insist that one is just so much better. That Alero just straight up wanted to race. What is with this town, seriously? Okay, that guy's cool though. He honked to let me in. Let's get on the highway here. I keep looking down to thinking I've got an Android Auto. Let's see if the AC works. Yeah, it's about as strong as any 3800. Feels good. AC, however, appears to be missing in action. I think we win. So I think we'll turn around, bring this back, and grab the BMW and head on back to Wichita. It's 9:20, so we're looking to be getting home past midnight. Can't wait. 12:30 in the morning, we're somewhere just south of the Kansas border. My cousins were extremely ecstatic to have their car back. I was a little bit annoyed at how much better than mine it drove. 190,000 miles, and that car felt solid as a rock, which pretty impressive. Those Buicks are fairly eternal if you take care of their Achilles heels, and I still think it's pretty funny that the Achilles heels on those Buicks are pretty much the same as the ones in this 3 Series, and yet which one gets all of the disdain of the internet, hive mind? It's gonna be like 1:30 by the time we get back. This car is, this is the first road trip I've taken this BMW on, really, especially the first one this long, and it seems to be doing all right. We're even getting decent fuel economy. I think we're gonna get this whole trip done in 1 tank. Does idle a little funny though. Well, that's it. We officially made it back to the house, but there was one very unfortunate casualty. Dun, dun, dun. What's weird is that the only code that pulls up, if I come over here to torque, and let's do fault codes. Please connect. Well, I'm not sure why torque is suddenly refusing to work properly, but the code was for the, the only code was a pending code for the barometric pressure sensor in the DME itself, which is incredibly bizarre. It's a pending code. It shouldn't be setting a light, which is weird. But also, look at the legs on this thing. 382 miles on this tank. I am extremely excited to fill up and see what sort of fuel economy this thing got. But a pretty successful first road trip overall. Small, minor annoyance notwithstanding. But at any rate, I think that does it for this episode. It's 1:51 a.m. That was a big fat W, a win-a-rooney, if you would. And now I'm gonna go get a few Z's before whatever the heck it is I gotta do tomorrow. I don't know. I know this BMW needs some parts thrown at it. Who knows what else. Thanks for watching.